Okay. Is this on?
It's on.
I call tonight's meeting of the Dalton Select Board to order.
Payroll and AP.
Oil tank didn't pass inspection this year. Our oil tank didn't pass inspection this year.
No, it needed a minor repair.
It's a good thing we have it inspected.
What's that, Brian?
The one here.
Yes.
Keep the payroll together.
Just gonna pass up.
Your dogs. Yeah.
They just don't get it.
Yeah.
No.
Today, the public hearing for the unanticipated revenue,
We've already taken care of all of those.
I thought we had one more to do.
Nope.
Okay.
Here's a copy of the agendas. Sorry. Here's the land use change tax warrant.
I'm a motion that we approve the land use change tax warrant and sign it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We signed all of them. I've got a copy.
Here's the oath of office for the board to sign down at the bottom where it says appointed by. I swore her in, but
I think you could do that as town clerk.
no, I swore her in as town clerk,
Oh, okay.
but she was
Appointed
appointed.
by,
Yep.
okay.
You guys already voted on it, so.
Yep.
Then I have 2 pistol permits. I have the Dalton Neighbors permit request to use town property. Since I'm the chair of Dalton Neighbors, I can't approve my own request.
Includes a dinner this Friday, right?
It includes the Friendsgiving dinner this Friday, yes.
And then in December, is it another Kids for Santa Claus thing or?
No, we're not doing a breakfast with Santa. It's a Christmas dinner. January will be a dinner, February a dinner, and then the St. Patrick's Day or the St. Patty's Bash in March.
Yeah, good.
They're all dinners. Free dinners for the
Mhm.
community.
I'm trying to think if we need an actual motion.
I don't think
If we do,
so,
I think
because
just-
usually I approve it. I just can't really approve my
Right.
own. I guess I could, but I shouldn't.
Do you think we need a motion?
I think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, great eats.
Thank you. And I do have one set of meeting minutes here from October 6th.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I know I read them, but I'm just gonna refresh my memory.
It's all a blur right now.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the work session on October 6th. All in favor? Aye.
And here's the non-public for personnel from the same day, October 6th.
I make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes from October 6th. All in favor? Aye.
That's all I have for signature until we get into the health insurance renewal.
Okay. Didn't we have 10-20 minutes, or did we already approve those?
No, we need 10-16, 10-20, and 10-27.
Okay,
I got 10-20 and 10-27, but I didn't send them out to Eric and Tom,
okay,
but I didn't get 10-16.
okay,
So
okay.
we have a little
We will
backlog.
catch up.
Yeah. Well, it's from meeting once or twice a week for the last 5 weeks.
And
Seems like.
dealing with FEMA and everything
Yes,
else.
yes. We're getting there.
Okay. So I saw that the Rhino storage thing is up at the transfer station,
Yes, it is.
and Adam said that you're gonna have a different plan. He's looking at cleaning out one of the truck bed that's over across the way
Yes,
and moving it over by the debris place and putting the mattresses there and putting the electronics under the covered storage, so the mattresses will be off the ground.
Okay.
Is that?
I mean, there was some talk about doing it that way. But I don't know. I haven't been able to get with Adam exactly what's going on in the transfer station yet.
Okay, that's what Kyle told me Saturday, but
Yeah.
it sounded reasonable to me.
Mhm.
As long as the stuff stays dry, that's
That's the key.
the key.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
Keeping it dry. That's the main thing, keeping.
do we want to skip ahead on any of these? Like the CPCNH?
We can jump to that since.
Yeah. Did
since
Brian and Terry have anything? You just here to enjoy the meeting?
Oh, just here.
Okay,
That's the only thing that.
Hmm?
The cemeteries, as you probably noticed, are closed. We put gates on
good.
so that we'll not get the riprap.
And
going
hopefully
in and
that'll
out.
prevent the traffic and the damage from driving in the snowmobiles this winter.
Plus, right now, we're still waiting for signage stating that they're gonna be closed
For the winter.
Close to
For the
traffic,
winter.
right?
for the winter,
right.
for
yes.
winter.
Oh, okay,
When we put the gates, you can drive in full length of a car and get out and walk in there if you want.
Okay,
The way we set them up, you can walk
Plenty of room to go past the gate.
past
around
the
the
gate.
to
and
walk
walk
past.
You can, they have.
So the sign should indicate, I mean, we
Well,
want people to know they can go in during the winter, they just can't drive in.
yeah, the signs that we have say that they close for the winter,
To traffic or just closed period?
close for the
Period.
winter period.
Okay,
People are not gonna walk in there in the winter, they're just not gonna do
Not
it.
too much, unless they're out just walking for exercise.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's fine if they're walking the dog or something.
I
I'm
had,
trying to remember. Is this just at Cushman Cemetery or Johns River too, or
Yes,
well,
Oh,
at both? Good.
we put rocks across this one down here, they're not gonna drive in there, then if they do, we're gonna have the cars, we'll know what they.
Yep,
I answered several questions on Saturday when we had the silver tea at the town hall. And there were several people concerned with whether or not they could walk in the cemetery. And why is it closed? And I'm like, just because of the traffic that goes in there and when the snow's covering the ground, you can't see the stones and some vehicles have gone in and have the potential to stray off from the road. I don't know if they have done this, but they could have.
well, we've
And,
had trouble in the past with that and with
Yeah.
snowmobiles too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think you'll have any trouble with snowmobiles now.
but the problem is we had cars, one particular one. We piled up the snow in the road, we didn't have a gate, we piled it up, the town piled it up. They went around the sign and still went down in there,
At Johns River.
Johns River, they had no reason to get down in there. So that's why we put the rocks across it, yeah, if they do now, we'll have a piece of the car, but.
Well, hopefully it works.
What?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get some good sized boulders.
Oh, yeah, you're not gonna move them.
Yep,
And if there's somebody who has a need to go down there for some reason with a vehicle, like maybe a
We have,
late fall burial or an
we
earlier.
have keys.
Several of us have keys.
okay. And then the problem we had on the property line with all the junk, that should be going away, isn't it? Since that
I believe so,
property
yeah.
was sold, it's been
Yeah,
cleaned
the
out.
Smiths, have been doing pretty good getting things picked up. They have, they mentioned, Nancy Smith asked me about it, this weekend. She said that they've still got a lowboy trailer sitting back in the corner that they had used, and she said, we're gonna get that out of there, hopefully soon. She said, is there a way we can get it out now that the gates are shut?
Yes.
And I said, just give me a call, let
There's
me
enough of
know.
us around.
Somebody
Yeah.
will unlock the gate so that they can get in and get out.
Yeah.
with the trailer.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Thank you all.
They cleaned the
Thank you for your
cemetery up.
Work.
They did on that, so I did call the tires, it looks good, so now we can cut the brush. Make it look good again down through there, we weren't allowing anybody to put any graves over there because it was such a mess.
Right. And then I know we approved the survey. Has that,
Yep.
Yeah,
do we have a timeline for that?
Haven't heard back yet from Mark. The only thing I heard from him through email was, wow, that's great. You know, he was pleased that he would like to do it. He said, I'm a bit busy right now, but, so I don't know what.
I think it'll be spring before he gets back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it'll be nice to get that done.
I could reach out to him. I told him that anytime that he wants to meet down at the cemetery, I'll be happy to. I could even take a day off from work or something if he needed a hand doing something.
Yeah.
Holding the tape measure, whatever he's gonna do.
Good.
But
Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been going on, for at least the issue with the gate and things has been going on for a long
I
time.
talked to Brian before you got here.
Okay. All right.
Get something. Fix that some of them. That poster.
you should get a post, that's all.
It's our over.
And you're here from, I can never remember the
Andrew.
acronym, CPCNH, right?
Yes, I am.
You wanna, I know we've had quite a few sessions. I think we're familiar with it, but we have an agreement to sign, right?
Yeah, what I would like to do, if you have the opportunity tonight, is just to run through a little slide deck. It takes me minutes just to let you understand what the policies and the contracts are all about.
Mhm.
And then you can decide if you have enough information to move forward or not tonight. And then I provided Jeanette with a motion that you could adopt if you so wished. I've got copies with me now. I can hand them to you and just walk you through.
Okay.
Maybe 10-15 minutes.
So we don't have a projector. I mean, if
Oh, no.
we have a screen, if you had emailed the,
Slides, and I've got enough to share with the public if they'd like to follow along or whatever you'd like me to.
oh, okay.
I can just approach and show you what I've got. So you're correct in so much as you've taken most of the steps towards adopting community power, and you did the vote at well, you've got your own.
Yes.
Would anybody in the audience like copies? Pretty dry stuff, but feel free to follow along. Would you like to share?
We'll see this.
Would you like me to? Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, you know, what happened at town meeting is you, as a community, adopted community power through the electric aggregation plan, as we call it. And that's where things stand today. And that plan was written in a way that Dalton has options in terms of when and how it goes about moving forward with community power. The select board, have been authorized by your legislative body, by the voters, to move forward at your discretion with community power. What these contracts are they're non-binding until you actually move forward. They're really the last step in getting prepared when the situation, when the rates are right, and when a launch is a potential, which might be in 2026. But we won't know, we don't know today whether that's going to happen. But what happens is once we know where rates sit, the opportunity comes pretty fast. And what we don't want to do is to suddenly have to go through this process later on. But what I'm asking you to consider tonight, if you were to adopt these contracts, doesn't move forward with community power unless you make another decision down the road. So don't feel
Because
that
right
this-
now the rates are higher than the Eversource
than
rate, right?
Eversource. So you're just Eversource in Dalton. So that's right. The last rate period that began in August and
Mhm.
runs through to the 31st of January, your rates are, it's a little complicated, but a couple of cents or just less than that less. So you're in good shape. Your residents, your ratepayers are paying less today than they would if Dalton Community Power was operating right now. Now things can change. As you may recall, Eversource sets the rates once every 6 months. And so come next month, it's December next month, unbelievably, but that's when they start their deliberations for the rate period beginning February through July. And we'll know, you know, sometime at the end of December whether we can beat those rates in this go round.
Mhm.
And that's what would trigger an opportunity for Dalton to say, yes, we want to go forward. Now, you don't have to, but this is the last step to get on deck to do it. We write our plans with optionality, meaning that you don't have to even use the Community Power Coalition if you don't choose to move forward with us for community power. But if you did, these are the contracts that matter. So that's what I wanted to talk about with you tonight. And I've provided Jeanette with a copy of the draft cost sharing agreement, which this little slide deck's all about. And what we ask you to endorse and adopt in this contract are the policies of the
I'm
coalition.
going to stop you just a minute.
Please.
Because we're zooming the meeting, could you come up to the
Oh,
table?
absolutely. I didn't want to crash the pie.
Yeah, no, as I'm thinking about Zoom, I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody is on Zoom.
We have one person on Zoom
Okay.
currently.
Yeah.
And if you could introduce yourself,
Yes.
please.
My name's Andrew Hatch. I'm the engagement manager for the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire. And I was up here with you a year or so ago and met with some of the select board, and my colleague Henry Herndon has also been involved in conversations with you over time, because Dalton has been a member of Community Power for some time, and you took the step, as I said, of this year adopting Community Power at your town meeting. So what we have in terms of policies are fourfold, and in this little slide deck here, it just explains how they all work together. These are the policies, and like everything that we do in Community Power, everything is available for scrutiny. Our website contains all of these policies for anybody to download and look at. We're a completely transparent, non-profit organization that acts just in the same way as a select board. We're subject to we're a government instrumentality and subject to right to know laws on 91A. So everything's open for anybody to learn more if they so wish. But just to sort of touch through what the policies are all about, the whole nature of energy procurement is it's all about risk management. It's a very volatile world we live in. One of the reasons Community Power was created was because of some of the volatile rates. You might remember back in 2022 when rates suddenly skyrocketed due to, I think it was the invasion of the war of Ukraine and the rise in the cost of natural gas. So that's the kind of thing that we're working to try to mitigate and make sure that we're not exposed to those fluctuations, and nor are our members, our ratepayers. So energy portfolio risk management just explains what that's all about, how we procure electricity on behalf of our members, how we manage risk exposure in the market. What we do differently from Eversource or the other utilities is we procure power all the time on an ongoing basis. And we also do what we call hedging, which is something that Eversource doesn't do, meaning that they are exposed to the marketplace and the ebbs and flows of that marketplace. So it just explains all our industry best practices, how we are audited, and how we manage all the roles and responsibilities throughout our organization. We have to, by our own regulations, be audited every 2 years, and our finance committee is responsible for making sure that we keep everything in mind in terms of making sure that the coalition is sound as an organization. And then retail rates policy. So what you would do if you were launching Community Power is you'd be making some choices about what rates you would adopt. And there's 2 slides here. The second slide is actually probably quicker to sort of focus on first. You see these 4 products here, Granite Basic, Plus, Clean 50 and Clean 100. Those are the basic offerings of the coalition today. And most of our communities elect a default of Granite Basic. That's the least expensive of our options. It has the minimum amount of renewable power included by state statute. The RPS is the Renewable Portfolio Standard. It's something that the state adopted many years ago, and it stands at 25.2%. So it's the same mix of electricity as Eversource provide. But we provide 3 options to move up to a higher level of renewable content or carbon-free content. And you can, if you adopt Community Power in Dalton, elect to offer all of these products. And you can, if you want, actually set your default at either the basic or the plus. That's what all that little chart means. So the retail rates policy explains how that all works. Now, I would stress that the coalition isn't required to always just offer this rate, but this is the base offering, and this is the one that would be in place if you were to move forward with Community Power. We've introduced
And
other
this is a
things.
rate that the town makes for the whole town. It's not
Yeah.
individual ratepayers that can decide.
But that's a great question. So the point is that as and when Community Power would launch in Dalton, anybody that's on the default of Eversource, so they're not with a third-party supplier or something like that, would be automatically enrolled in this unless they wanted to step out of the program. It's completely voluntary, but what would happen if a launch took place is that at least 30 days ahead of anything happening, everybody in town would get a letter, and it would explain in detail what's going to happen. And if they didn't want to participate, they had to just get in touch with us and say, I don't want to do this. if you didn't take action, you would be enrolled in Dalton Community Power, and your electricity bill, which should still come from Eversource, on the supply side, it's just supply, would say Dalton Community Power and whatever the rate was. Now, you can't launch community power unless that rate is lower than that of Eversource. That's what we mentioned before. And this is the kind of options that those folks would be offered to either default into, like Granite Basic, or up to a higher level of renewables. So not to confuse things any further, we can do other things, and we are doing other things for other communities, but this is basically the step one, what you would embark upon if you were about to launch. So that's what retail rates are all about. And then finally, financial reserves. And this is an important thing just to bear in mind. We're a non-profit, so we don't make money, but we do have to make sure that our coalition, our group, and our members are served, and we grow our balance sheet to make sure that we are a robust organization that can weather any financial storms and things like that, and make sure that we are in a good position to underwrite anything that comes our way. And I'll explain what these two numbers on the right-hand side of this slide are, about 60 and 120 days. But financial reserves are all collected together as at a central level, and they're aggregated for all of our members. They're not reserves that are available to individual members unless they were to exit. It's just to make sure the coalition is financially stable. And why we've got these reserve targets, 60 days is a sort of industry standard to make sure that we are in very robust shape, and make sure that we can cover any unexpected eventualities. And that's what our first target is. But we're still a ways away from getting to that. That's 60 days cash on hand. That's a sizable amount of money. We're setting a target of getting to that probably in 2028. And 120 days, which we're looking at 5 years out, that's a sort of magic number, because what happens with energy and electricity supply in New England is that if you are a large enough company, you can buy power directly from the regional operator, ISO New England, at a much better rate than we can buy it through third parties. So basically, we want to get to that point of being large enough to be able to register with ISO New England and cut out the middle parties who are taking a profit on procuring power on our behalf. So that's the two numbers. Once we get to 120 days, we would want to maintain that, but we're not going to just keep building financial reserves beyond that figure. We would just lower rates. And then data privacy and security. Well, obviously that's extremely important in this day and age. There's a couple of things to remind you about. The town of Dalton is not going to be able to access the private data of its citizens. It's very important for some folks, you know, to know that if Dalton Community Power operates, everybody's going to know what I'm using, and well, that's not how it works. You would get aggregate information about, you know, the total amount of electricity that's consumed and things like that, but the details at an individual customer level are maintained privately and separately on behalf of you by the coalition, and we obviously take that very seriously. So those are the basic policies. And then this agreement that I've got, the other draft version here, is this two-part agreement. There's a cost-sharing agreement and a member services contract. And one of the things that happens when I've been talking for a few years with folks about it doesn't cost anything to join the coalition, it won't cost the town anything. And then the first thing I do is show up with this contract called a cost-sharing agreement. So I apologize, but I'll blame the lawyers. That's what they called it, because it is actually something. It costs money to procure power on behalf of our members. And what this is all about is how we allocate those costs. One of the principal points of our non-profit is that there's no cost shifting. We've got large cities and small towns and counties, in fact, and all of those operate with different amounts of participating customers and different amounts of aggregate electricity. So basically what we're saying in the cost sharing agreement is we would only apply the costs of providing Dalton Community Power to Dalton, and it won't be anything to do with any other members. So there won't be any cost shifting, as we call it. And the costs are articulated here, you know, general and administrative costs. It costs something to manage the coalition. Again, we're fully transparent. Everybody understands our budget and our performance. Roughly speaking, in 2026, we'll be looking at somewhere between 4 and 5% of our revenues go to actually managing the coalition. The vast proportion of our rates go to buying the power and buying the hedge contracts that I just explained about that protect our
And how does that compare to a for-profit entity like Eversource?
Well, they're a for-profit entity that is dedicated primarily to a return on investment to its shareholders. Eversource is a large organization that's not based just in New Hampshire. It has its subsidiary, the Public Service of New Hampshire, is its operating subsidiary in New Hampshire, but all of the income all goes upstairs and gets eventually reported because they're a public company. But what their performances are and how the actual cost of managing is all unavailable to us. It's all redacted. So I can't tell you. I can tell you that we've been driving down our costs. In the first year of operation, it was about 7%. Last year, it was getting down to lower than 6%. And now we're looking at 4 to 5. And we feel that 3 to 5% is where we're probably going to get, because over this last 2 years, we've grown to almost 200,000 customers. So the cost of running the coalition is spread over a greater number of participating members. So consequently, the percentage of cost, it's not exponential. You know, we can handle growth and continue to do so. But we've got plans for the future that, you know, Dalton will be able to participate in it so chooses, or it can just keep it simple and not get involved in developing local projects and all this sort of stuff. But we have to write this into our policies that, again, we don't want to cost shift. If we're doing something, you know, over in Bethlehem that doesn't affect Dalton, you're not going to be billed for it. That's what we're basically saying. And again, you will see these. We produce monthly reports that are called cost allocation and benefits reports, and as the name implies, it's a very clear breakout of how much Dalton itself is spending on the power and how much the costs are associated with it. So that's basically what the idea of cost sharing is all about, and the agreement goes into a lot of detail about how this works, and it explains how projects would work in the future if you were to embark on something more customized. The important one here under Article 5, cost recovery and liability limitation. No taxpayer funds, costs recovered through rates, grants, or third-party sources. Debts and liabilities and obligations of CPCNH shall not be of the members unless otherwise agreed under a service contract. So what that means, it enshrines in this contract that Dalton will not be able to expend any taxpayer money, that the only revenue that we receive is from participating members. So anybody that steps out and doesn't participate is not involved. And if anything adverse were to happen with the coalition, none of those debts and liabilities would follow and expose the town of Dalton to anything. And then cost reporting and records, pretty straightforward. It makes sure, and this is what I just talked about, the monthly reporting and cost tracking is made available. And the last piece, the implementation costs. So we're in year 3 of a 5-year window that we agreed, or the founding members agreed, that it would be fair to allocate a small proportion of the startup costs from 2023 to the participating members over the first 5 years. So the first 12 communities that launched from 23 wouldn't be burdened with the whole cost of startup. in the greater scheme of things, it's a very small rounding error on a rate or on a cost allocation for a member starting now. It was something in the region of $2.75 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but just as a point of reference, our revenue in 2026 will be 160 million. So it's a pretty small number, but it's in there and we don't want to hide it. And then just everything else is talking about how the whole process works and how we can and allows our members to step out of the coalition if it so wishes. So that's what I want to spend a moment talking to you about. But before I do that, I'll just mention there are 3 exhibits on the back of the cost sharing agreement. Exhibit A, cost sharing principles. You've already, by joining the coalition, you signed the Joint Powers Agency. And that makes reference to these cost sharing principles in that document you signed. And if you wanted to look at it, the Joint Powers Agency Agreement, JPA, and the cost sharing agreement are kind of sister documents that live together and they refer to each other in the verbiage. The cost allocation reference table is the table I just showed you. And finally, Exhibit C, member services contract. So when you sign this document, there's 2 places to sign: the cost sharing agreement and the member services document, and the 2 are put together legally. They're called the complete service bundle, because that's what the lawyers called it. But it's all basically in pursuit of the fact that you are now adopting a contract that once we procure power on behalf of the town of Dalton, there are material consequences. So we would, and we commit to providing a comprehensive service for power supply, meaning that we will provide what they call in the industry all requirements electricity. It basically means that we won't let you down. We're not just buying a certain amount of power, and if everybody cranks up the AC in the summer and we have to call and say, sorry, Dalton, we haven't got enough power for you. It won't happen. And then how we make decisions, it explains again, who does power procurement. We, as a coalition, now have staff, but when we started, we had to depend 100% on third parties, and we still depend on those third parties. You'll remember I talked about those reserves and getting out from under a middle party and being able to buy power directly. Well, that's an example of a third party contract. And we will continue to work with those. And we explain how we, the staff, work with those contractors and maintain that relationship. And again, it references again, members are not liable for the debts or liabilities of the organization, and how your electric aggregation plan works. Going back to that plan I referenced that we helped you develop, you can change that. The select board can adopt new terms, and we will always make sure that we understand what Dalton's plan says, and if it in any way influences how we serve you, it references that in this agreement. We're nearly there. And then Article 7 is, it's important to pause for a minute and just look at this. It's term, procurement and termination elections and financial reserves. You'll recognize some of those terms because I've already referred to them. But that first bullet point, member may terminate with immediate effect via written notice, provided CPC&H has not authorized power transactions on behalf of the member CPA. CPA is short for community power aggregation. Dalton would be a CPA. So that's my point.
Again, down below, you say terms of service, member may elect to terminate service by submitting notice 36 months in advance.
Yes.
That's a long
Yes,
notice.
and I'll explain that in one moment. But I was just getting to the point of reiterating, as I said, the consideration that I have for you tonight is to adopt an agreement that until such time as we have procured power for you, there is no you're not on the hook for anything, let's put it that way. And if you so chose to take a different direction or not move forward, you could write to us and say, we want to terminate. But then the day that Dalton Community Power launches, that's what I'm talking about. This is when we procure power on your behalf. And this election to delay authorized officer, I'm going to come on to that on the next slide, but this person that you would in this document identify would have certain authorities to be the point person through the coalition. That they would basically give us the go, no go nod on the day we procure power, because it literally happens. It says we have a joint meeting of our risk management committee and finance committee. We have all of our members, of which there are 68, we have 60 operating communities, and there's a call and people are either zooming in or in the room, and we basically do a last call if everybody wants to move forward. And if you don't, you have to speak then or give us notice prior to that, or we procure power. And once we procured power, we've bought contracts on your behalf and they are material. Now, why you're referring to this 36 months?
So that's member as in the town of Dalton, not individual.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, customers,
Yeah,
okay, that.
This is you deciding to launch Dalton Community Power. We've
Mhm.
done a lot of work in the meantime where we've got all of our customer data. We've been preparing, to send these letters out. We know how much power roughly that we need to procure for you, and we're all ready to go and press go. So once
But the
that's
individual customer can exit at any time.
the individual customer, absolutely,
Okay.
anytime. There is no restriction on a customer coming in or out of the coalition.
Okay.
There's no delay other than the next meter read that
Mhm.
Eversource would put them on. I mean, they could go to another
Yeah.
third party, back to Eversource, whatever they wanted to do. This is all about the town of Dalton deciding it wants to leave for some reason. Now, I don't know if the town of Dalton itself as a municipality procures power or whether you just buy it through Eversource. Do you know?
Everyone just gets it through Eversource
Yeah.
and we get it through Eversource.
Municipal accounts. Yeah,
Yes.
okay. But you're probably aware that certain commercial customers, municipalities and businesses tend to do contracts with third parties. If a big hospital or something like that, you're probably not buying your power from Eversource, you're buying it through a middle party. Those people would never be enrolled in community power unless they opted in. But my point is they will sign a contract for, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years or something like that. And the power would be procured at a set rate. And if they wanted to get out in the meantime, they would have to pay some form of penalty. We're not operating quite like that. So we have to set an horizon on a termination. So if you imagine going forward, the town of Dalton has been operating community power for a year or two, and you've accrued a certain amount of reserves, and for some reason you decide to you want to, as a town, you've voted it in at town meeting, so you'd probably be voting it out at town meeting, and then you, the select board, would be charged with acting. You, the select board, would notice the coalition of an intent to terminate. At that moment in time, we would have to do a calculation of how much power do we have on our books on behalf of the town of Dalton, and how much would it cost us to unwind those power contracts and not adversely affect other members. Like I said before, no cost shifting. Now, I don't know, nobody can know what that answer will be until it happens. But what we've written in this contract is the maximum horizon for any obligations on behalf of Dalton would be 36 months. It's not to say it's not like just saying we want out and you've got to wait 36 months. That's not what would happen. But if you remember when I started to talk, I said we're procuring power all the time. We may enter into certain 20-year power purchase agreements. Well, we're not going to turn around to Dalton and say, well, you'll wait 20 years to get out. That's not what, this is what we're giving you in terms of a commitment here. If the power markets at that time were better than the rates that we paid for your power, we might sell it off at a profit, and it would be almost instantaneously you would step out. But there's all sorts of scenarios within that termination that we can't predict, and we just need to provision for it in the verbiage. So don't sort of feel overly sort of concerned about the 36 months. It's just anything, the strips of power that have been purchased for all different lengths you can never be committed to anything at all more than 36. And then the return of the joint reserves goes back to what I said before. Those joint reserves are held by the coalition And the way that they're reported out every month is based upon each of our members and the percentage of load that we've procured on behalf of Dalton versus Nashua, for example. You know, you're a much smaller slice, but over time you would have part of those 60 or 120 days. And when you exited, you would have every right to receive those. And so we often imagine, this has never happened, so it's all conceptual.
So,
But
so
you-
those go to the member as in the town, not the individual.
Exactly, yes, yeah. But, you know, in reality, probably the first thing out the gate would we do the calculation on how much you would be responsible for and how much you've got in reserves, and tell you, well, if you wanted to put your reserves against your indebtedness, you can step out of this even quicker. You know, it's at your discretion, because at the end of the day, if you terminate, they're your reserves. You
Okay.
don't, we have no say on what you do with those.
Okay.
So that's that. And then the last piece is just this authorized officer.
Mhm.
In all of our members, the authorized officer can be in smaller towns, it's often the chair of the select board or the town administrator or some other sort of person who, you know, will be just the point person. But the authorities of that person are again within your power to dictate. So there are 3 authorities: delay commencement of procurement. That's the one I've just been talking about. That's the go, no go day. And then specifying default and optional products. That goes back to what I talked about on the retail rates, that you decide and you say, yeah, Dalton Community Power is going to use the Granite Basic as default. And we do or we don't want to participate in any other optional products. And finally, set discretionary reserve adders. What does that mean? Well, that's a little bit of a rabbit hole, but it's you, the town of Dalton, could agree to add a fraction of a cent or maybe a cent or something onto your rate that the coalition offers. So let's take just an easy to understand example. If our rate was 9.9 cents, you could, Dalton Community Power could create the local Dalton rate of 10 cents. And that 0.1 of a cent would accrue as a discretionary reserve that we would hold in escrow over on, you know, the side, separate from all of the other community assets. And at some time you would withdraw that and use it for purposes in the town of Dalton. I'll give you examples of that have been done already. Folks have been accruing reserves in Peterborough and down in Cheshire County, and they've been built it up to, you know, $10,000, and then they've used it to fund some local energy project. But it's your conversation. It's probably not going to be what you'll get out the gate and do. It's something to be down the road, but that's what that means. And in some cases, the authorized officer has none of these as a yes. It's no, no, no. And what that means is the authorized officer, and I'm not picking you out now, but just if it was you, for example, what would happen is you would meet as a select board and then decide what the authorized officer wants to say at the procurement meeting on behalf of the town of Dalton. And that's perfectly appropriate. We just need a single point of contact. And in this agreement, it says an authorized officer, and I'm just saying this as a sort of tongue in cheek, but if you weren't the authorized officer and we didn't have an authorized officer, and we couldn't find one, we'd call you anyway, because you're the town administrator. So it's in there, but it goes back to when we were first launching, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
It got pretty crazy at that time and we needed a point of
Yeah,
contact.
I'm getting a little bit impatient because we have a full agenda and we want to set our tax rate tonight. So we've got a lot to do.
I have
So
finished.
I really want to
Well,
move.
that's just
I appreciate your-
questions and answers. So
your-
all I've left you with, Jeanette, is the opportunity to consider a resolution if you feel comfortable and to answer any questions if you haven't.
I think I'm all set. I've asked my questions. How about you, Eric?
Good.
Okay. And do you have copies of, it looks like you have copies of the agreement for us, or can we get them?
We have a
electronically?
copy. Did you bring,
I do. There's a freshie.
he's got,
Okay.
mine are just black and white. Looks like his are fancy and have color, so.
Well, and what I'm thinking of is we probably want to read it and act on it in another meeting.
There
or
is
something
no
like
hurry.
that.
I wanted to get ahead of budgets and crazy
Yep,
season.
yep.
And appreciate your
Well,
time.
we're trying to, we've been waiting for school and county to set their tax rate so we can set ours, and we finally have the ability to do it today, so that's my focus right now,
Get out of your
so
hair.
we can get our tax bills out.
Can I
understand.
just ask one question? I want to make sure that it's clear. The cost sharing and whatever cost there is for the administrative side of CPC&H is built into the rate.
Yeah.
It's not like the town of Dalton will get an invoice from
Absolutely.
CPC&H once a month or once a year saying, here's what you owe us for administering your electrical. It's all included. There's no additional cost to the town of Dalton for being in the program at all.
Yeah, all you'll receive is reports to explain how we've been working this behind the scenes.
So it's included in the electric rate, just like with Eversource.
Exactly.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear because when I started, and we talked about it, when I started reviewing it, I was like, wait a minute, I thought there was no cost. And then you said, here I come with the cost sharing agreement. I just want to make sure that it's clear that there's no additional cost or no cost to the actual town of Dalton.
No.
It's all covered in the electric rates that are set twice a year.
Absolutely.
Perfect. I like to make it crystal.
Oh, it's a very important point, and you know,
Absolutely.
people who are skeptical need to have that assurance, but
Yeah.
I assure you that's the case.
Perfect. Thank
you
you.
very much,
for your time.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Do you have that electronically? So you can send it out
I do.
to all of us so that Tom can review it as well. Do you have the
I do.
PowerPoint electronically?
I have the whole thing electronically. You want to give me the color copy so I can hang on to it for when we're ready to,
I've got more
Execute it,
colour copy
sign.
if you want.
oh no, this is good. This is the only one we need to sign, correct?
Do you want to get another PowerPoint thing
Yes,
for Tom?
and I sent you the,
Color PowerPoint?
Sure. I can take Mike's.
If we could have another PowerPoint color
yeah,
version
sure.
for our other select.
I'm
board-
telling you, I can take
want
Mike's.
to
Oh,
donate?
he's, yeah.
Yes,
And I gave you a document that
you.
explains very clearly what we need to sign, but if you have any questions, just let me know.
I know where to find you.
You do.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you so much for coming out.
You're welcome.
Safe travels back.
Thank you.
Okay. Do
Thank
we
you,
want to
Brian.
set tax rates before we go on to anything else, or at least look at that?
You're the chair.
That's my priority tonight. I know we've got a lot of other things to cover, but
Yeah, I mean, most things are just discussing them or talking,
giving
mentioning.
updates.
That and the health insurance are probably the two most important things that we need to talk about tonight.
Okay, so we don't really have anything we need to deal with the phone system
Nope.
broadband. Okay,
Installation is gonna be the Tuesday before Thanksgiving for the fiber. I don't know when we should receive the phones. It may be about that same time, so we should be good there.
okay,
Health insurance renewal, everyone already reviewed that 2 meetings ago. And everyone was fine with it. It just needs to be signed so that I can return it to Health Trust. And
Okay.
I have that.
and did we make a motion? Because why don't we take the care of that if you,
I do not believe that a motion was made. Everyone just reviewed it and said, oh yeah, it looks fine.
and the increase was,
Health insurance?
yeah,
Yeah. I think everyone just
and
reviewed.
the increase was how much?
I thought it was like 9, no. Can I see that
Yeah,
again?
yeah, I'm just trying to remember, and I think last year it was 11%, it was less this year.
It was less this year.
Yeah.
I took the copy out of where I had it highlighted. Short-term disability has an increase of 5.5%. Long-term disability and life insurance had no increase.
The health was just a big one. Let me look back through my notes.
Yeah, I had other documents in they talk about dental short-term. Medicare Advantage. No change in benefit advantage, administrative fees. Reading. Inclusion. I think it's like 9% for medical.
That's what I'm remembering.
I think it's 9% for medical. Because we had an overall rate change of 11.3%. Well, that was renewal groups overall. I think it was like 9% for medical.
I make a motion that we approve the renewal of our contract with Health Trust for health insurance, short-term, long-term disability and life insurance.
Yeah, 9.2%. I didn't look for any.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, is North Star Canine Connection going to be using our?
Yeah, she plans on starting to use the facility sometime in December. She'll send me over her insurance and we'll get the initial deposit and then I'll talk to her about how we'll do the payment for the $25 an hour fee.
Okay. Tax rate setting.
Are you gonna pull this up, pull the portal up on your computer?
I can.
That would probably be easier so
Then-
that I
Yep.
can keep that going.
I can get to the portal. They've changed the website since last time I'd gone in.
You wanna give that to Eric?
Yep.
Just copy for you.
Okay, I'm in. Who am I looking at?
Nope, you got everything.
So what this has is that the rate that DRA is recommending that we use is $17.47.
What was last year's?
1506.
Yep, and I did this little chart because I had the same question. So this is the proposed rate for 2025. Last year it was 1506. 2023 it was
Why
1475.
isn't this right? A lot of it's school tax.
Oh, yeah,
Most of it
absolutely.
is school tax. I looked at like between 2022 and 2023, we had the reevaluation, so you really can't, doesn't make sense to look and compare back to 2022. Then I looked at the fund balance retained, so that's what we have to decide if we want to use some of our fund balance to offset taxes. What DRA is proposing is a fund balance retained of $305,776, which would be 9.4%. They recommend between 5 and 17%. I looked at past years. Last year, we retained 329,349, which was 11.37% of our total budget, correct?
Yes,
The year
appropriations, I believe.
total appropriations. In 2023, it was $337,060, which was 12%. So this is less than we have been, as a percentage, it's less than we've been retaining. The important thing with fund balance is like last year when we had the floods, we had that money in reserve where we could borrow from that to work on the roads. So fund balance is important, but I think we'll need to look at that. I looked at big parts of our budget that we don't control. So the county this year, you see that?
Yeah.
Is 470,821. It's up a little bit. Last year it was 467,000, so it's up about $3,000.
That's quite a bit.
This is wrong. I'm sorry, I had a wrong number here on the local.
The county is up 9 cents per thousand.
Okay,
I look at it a little different than you do, Joe Beth. I look at it
Yeah.
based on per thousand and not by a percentage.
what is the total for the school, the local and state?
Total for local
I-
and
I-
state
I put it in here, so I've got
before the grants or after.
after the net, because that's where I didn't include the
It's
grant, so
one-
that's,
We wrote it on there. It's 1,168,118. I wrote it on your sheet then.
so that's the local or is that the total?
That's the total.
Okay,
That's the local education tax effort.
okay, and that's up 5.7%. Last year it was 1,269,668, which is up 2.8% from the prior year. So, I mean, that's a big part of our appropriation. I did this little chart, and we can also do it when we make some decisions. I looked at the cost per thousand, and I looked at increases for like $150,000 home, 200,000, 250, and 300. So this is 2025 this is a preliminary tax rate. If we did that, This was the 2024 rate and the 2023. So you can see, you know, increases, and these are increases over the prior year. So this number is the difference between 2024 and 2025 if we went with that rate. And this is over a whole year, so each tax bill would be half of that in terms of the increase. So to get some perspective,
I still can't get over that.
yeah, I know. It's this number right here, yep. It costs a lot. And the state does not provide much support. That's the real problem, is the state doesn't support education.
I mean, look how much it's almost $9.
Yeah. Yeah, between the. Yep,
Between the state and the local,
and the-
it
yeah.
is.
yep. Yep. And the county's $3. Yeah, typically our share of the tax bill, our municipal share is 20% or so. Typically, over time.
And the revenue that we've gotten in, the unanticipated revenue that we've gotten in
Yeah.
will likely affect our tax rate going forward. So when we set the 2026 tax rate, because all of the money that we've gotten in, that we've accepted as unanticipated revenue, once we look at where we are for our expenditures for the year and we say, okay, this is what's left over, we need to put this back into our fund balance, or we want to put this into our fund balance. You know, we want to replenish our capital reserve fund. We want to this, we want to that. So
So it'll make an impact more next year,
in
not,
26 and not
not this year.
25.
okay. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
More than mud? Or
I've been, and I really appreciate all the work Jeanette's has gone getting it to this point, because it's not easy. I've done it in the past before we had Jeanette, and can be challenging.
just a little.
Okay, so I have the thing up. So the big thing, in terms of decisions, do you want to ride this or do you want me to?
Whichever you want to do.
Makes no difference.
I mean, I think if we do, my opinion, if we do take money out of fund balance to decrease the tax rate, I think we just need to make sure that we're cognizant of the fact that where they're proposing we are right now is less than 10%. And before the flood, we were at 11.3%.
Yep. And the year before that, we're at 12%.
So we just need to keep in mind that catastrophes happen, and the fund balance includes all of our unpaid taxes and things of that nature. So we just need to keep that in the forefront of our mind. We don't know what it's going to be like this year with people paying taxes. Granted, the first tax bill right now, I think we have the least amount unpaid than I've seen in a while. It's still a decent size.
And we have the other thing we can adjust is our overlay, but that's what covers abatements and.
Yes, and I did increase our overlay from 20,000 to 25,000.
Yeah, here it's like 24, 830.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So I did increase that a little, taking into consideration where we are right now in the world. But $2.41 is a lot per thousand.
I mean,
If we put in,
if we dropped our current amount retained, 3,000 seems like a comfortable minimum to me, but it's not gonna make much difference on our tax rate, because we're already at 305,776. Just intuitively.
What do you mean, 3,000?
I mean,
You lost me.
300,000, excuse
Oh,
me.
yes.
Yeah. I don't know that we want to go lower than that. If we went down to 8%, that would be 259, 837.
Plug in 50,000 and recalculate, see what it does.
Okay.
I think it only changes it by like 50 cents or 75
And I can
cents.
change it at the current amount retained, right? And I
Let-
know this is,
You wanna move
I
your water
haven't used
bottle?
it for a couple of years. That cell right there?
No.
No, okay, that's,
What are you looking at the PDF? You're not in the program.
I
Where
thought I was in the program. Maybe I pulled it.
did you save it as a PDF then? Are you in the
Yeah,
actual
because I pulled
portal?
it up before. I thought I was in the portal. Oops. Yeah, I'm in the portal. But it's. Oops, shoot. I just logged myself out, I think. I must have had a report up. Although I didn't on this computer. I had a. Sorry about that.
Sorry. Don't go up. Nope. Here, let me
You
see.
go right there.
Oh, you should go up here.
Ah,
Thank you.
Yep.
That takes the new tax rate down to 1714. If we take $50,000 out. So it's 33 cents. And that puts our fund balance at 7.9.
so then we have it 255, right?
Yeah.
I think I was looking at a PDF before then.
Yeah.
Yep.
We change that back to 20 instead of 25. That brings us down to 1711. So it's, what was it, another 5 cents? Not much.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd almost rather keep the money in the abatement, the requested overlay. Or maybe we, I don't. Maybe you take it out of the overlay and put it in the fund balance. Takes it down to 1707.
And I take the little spreadsheet I did down here. a little bit better.
I can't see it
Compared,
anyway.
can you,
What do they say? Just,
so for, the increase on a $150,000 home at 1707 would be $302
for the year.
for the year, so it'd be a $150 for each tax bill. For $200,000 home, it'd be basically 200 per tax bill. For $250,000 home, it'd be 250 per tax bill. For $300,000 home, it'd be $300 per tax bill.
Better than.
That's better than that,
Yeah.
right?
Cause what was it before for a $300,000 house?
It was
73.
over the year, so it'd be
360.
360. What are your thoughts? And that brings us down to our fund balance of about 255,000, which isn't as comfortable as 300.
I really don't know.
This is the hard part about being on the select board.
I mean, that's quite an increase. That's
Yeah.
17.
Realize, these are over the year, so across two bills, so it'd be half of that. Um, That'd be instead of a 16% increase, that'd be a 13.35% increase.
$16 increase.
Hmm?
Better than a 16.
It is, but that means instead of having over 300K in our fund balance, we have what, 255 for that one?
Just something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, 255.
Yeah. So, we're at more risk for our fund balance. We would still be. That would still put us within the broad range that DRA allows. I think it'd be what, at 8%?
Almost 8%.
Yeah. Instead of 9%. It's hard because I think the fund balance is important, but I also don't want taxes to go up. But
The worst part about it, if the taxes keep going up, that people can't pay it. It's just gonna come to that.
Yeah.
They can't, and that's,
yeah, but I mean, I think the school and the county are a big part of that.
which I don't understand the school. I don't understand how they.
Well, one of the things with the school is there was like $400,000 in health insurance costs that they got because their health insurance provider ran out of money, and so they allocated it to the school districts. So they got hit with a $400,000 bill. So at least our health insurance, I feel like it's better managed than the company that's managing it for the school districts. I guess I'm not happy, but I'm inclined to go with This 1707.
You have to, yeah.
I think so. I don't feel like we can go down with our fund balance any more than we have.
I really wouldn't want to anyway.
No, I would rather have it up at 300K. Jeanette, what are your thoughts?
Um. I mean, I think we're in a decent position for next year. Unfortunately, it doesn't help us this year. So, um. You know, I say that we increase our overlay back, or we decrease our overlay back down to 20,000 and take it out of the fund balance. So our fund balance, we'd take 55,000 out, that would take us down to 250. Which is just less than 8%. Our overlay we would decrease that back to 20 instead of 25.
I think that's what we've got in here now.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I changed it to there. And that's what got us down to the 1707?
Right, so our retained fund balance would be 257.76, which is 7.72%.
Right, just under 8, yeah.
So that's pretty low. And then 20% for the overlay.
Yep. That puts
And
us
that
at
gives us
1707. I don't think, I honestly don't know if we could do better than that.
I'm not seeing where we can.
I think that's the best we can do.
Okay,
And with what, I think just with what we've experienced in the last year plus 15 months, you know?
yeah, where we needed the fund balance, I mean,
Well, we've done a lot of work. We've come a long way
yeah, and we're getting money back.
and we're getting money back and there's still work to do and yeah,
Okay. I make a motion that we use 55,000 to reduce our fund balance. That we use 20K for our abatements, what do they call it? Overlay.
overlay.
So this will result in our fund balance of 250,776. That will mean that our tax rate will be $17.07.
I'll say that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You want me to click ready for tax rate? You want to check it?
No, I'll check it. I'll
Okay.
pull it up on my computer and check it to make sure everything is good before we submit. You could just scroll
want me to
down and
save
hit
it?
cancel. Just hit
You want
cancel.
me to say it?
I don't know if that does anything on their end.
I think it's okay, because then it's not
Go ahead.
completing it for,
Yeah,
Save for a few.
okay.
Linda.
Okay, all right. You want that? You got that. Okay. All right,
that was fun.
no. But at least we got it done, so tax bills can go out.
Yes, so now I'll submit that to DRA. DRA reviews it, they approve it. They send me the warrant, then I have to do
And we
testing,
still have to sign the warrant.
testing to make sure our commitment is where it needs to be. And then the warrant has to be signed.
So
I'll have the warrant to be signed sometime
Sometime.
this week.
later this week, so we may you'll need to post a meeting. Do we
Yeah.
want to post a meeting now?
Well, I can, but we don't know what Eric's gonna be like, whether he's gonna get that buck on Wednesday or not.
Well, is Tom around? I mean, two of us need to sign
I
it.
would assume.
I mean, do you think it's gonna be ready by Thursday
Probably.
or Wednesday?
Wouldn't push my luck. I'm off tomorrow, so
Okay, it's holiday. Shall we tentatively set a meeting for Thursday?
sure.
You think you might be back or not? No,
Where are you hunting at, Eric?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh?
So it's not too far for me to drive up to see you.
You could call in just to approve it. If we had Tom here, we need two in
Well,
person.
So here's the question. Can you guys not vote to approve and sign the warrant at that tax rate? Or do you have to? I don't know.
Because usually we have the warrant in front of us to,
Okay.
and we have to actually physically sign the warrant. So
Yes, you do have to
Right.
physically sign it. I just didn't know if you could vote on it before.
if there aren't any changes, if DRA doesn't make any changes.
But then I also don't know if Tom would sign it without voting on it. We can wait. You're back Sunday at the latest. No, it is what it is. I mean. I go up to Tori's Donuts and see Eric somewhere in the woods, buy him a donut for a signature.
Quite often I have rehearsals up in Columbia, and I was just up in Colbert Saturday night.
See, that's a win-win.
But I don't have any rehearsals this week up there. It'll find you in the woods.
I will notice a tentative meeting for Thursday at. What time could you meet, Jo Beth?
I could be flexible.
4:30?
Yep.
So I'll do a tentative meeting for Thursday at 4:30, and if we can, we do, or otherwise, I'll post another tentative for Monday.
Yeah. And I mean, we can, if there are not gonna be any changes, I mean, we could make a motion that will approving the warrant once it's generated, so we can just sign it without a meeting if things happen.
If that's what you'd like to do.
I make a motion that we sign the warrant that will be generated along the lines of the motion that we just passed approving the tax rate.
At 1707 per thousand.
Yeah, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that way, maybe we can proceed with just coming in to sign it.
Yeah.
So save some time. Good.
Okay.
All right.
Saves us all from having to go up to Tori's.
Right.
Tori does really good donuts.
Oh, I know,
They have good salads and sandwiches too,
donuts.
but the donuts are the best in the area.
And like the real deal from way back.
Of course, you're gonna be in the woods, you're not gonna go to Tori's, right?
I'm about 40 minutes north of.
North of that, yeah, and Pittsburgh is way up there,
It's up further.
yeah.
We
Road
can
trip.
go to breakfast,
Road trip.
breakfast.
On the way up.
in Pittsburgh.
Okay, all right. I think we can skip committee updates for tonight. Just,
Sure.
we could always circle back around them.
I don't really have much.
Okay, I don't know that there's much. With the planning board, we did have Stephen Shaw come in. He bought land off of Tucker Road. He does have questions about whether that's a town road or not, Class 6 town road. I haven't had a chance to look up the road regulations to see if that can ever be what the process is to move it
Tucker,
from a,
off 142.
That's the one that goes
Yeah,
Short and straight.
short and sweet.
yeah.
it goes, there's not a real road, but some type of old road that goes over all the way into Lancaster.
And those Mark Meadow.
Connection.
Yeah.
As far as, I don't quote me, but we only do maybe 500 feet of that road and that's it.
Okay,
It's just from the state road. Where there's a kick this way and this way, we stop right there. So
Okay.
it's.
and the rest is probably class 6, but it's a question for Adam too. Okay,
Yeah, it would be, if there's any more beyond it, it would definitely be class 6.
he's planning on building a modest house and a garage with a area above it and probably an ADU.
So it'd be like basically 3 dwelling units.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I went and tried to look at the old town reports, that night after the planning board meeting. I scribbled down a few things and then I set it aside and didn't look at it again since then.
And I was gonna try to refresh my mind about town roads and class 6 and reactivating them or not. I know I've got the binder that when I took a webinar on roads, but I need to go look it up because I and I haven't had a chance since the planning board meeting. The HCA committee met and Wendy is going to reach out to attorneys to work with us on that. The solar panels are installed, but Eversource hasn't flipped the switch so they can be operational yet, right?
I think that's correct. That should be happening any day now because they contacted Eversource on October 30th and Barrington Solar said it takes 7 to 10 days. So if it hasn't happened, it should be happening this week.
Okay,
Additionally, I cut the last check for them because we'll have to
Yeah.
give them a check when that switch is flipped.
Mhm.
And then I've already spoken with DOE and gotten the information on what to submit for reimbursement. So
okay,
I'm working hard to try and get that money back to us this calendar year.
okay, good. Transfer station scale.
Through the different recycling tours that Mike has gone on behalf of the transfer station, he's been speaking with some people at New Hampshire Recycles who have determined that we need a scale for recycling. And there's 2 different grants that may be available to us that would pay for it 100%.
Okay,
So I have that information. I spoke with one of the gentlemen today and I'll be working on pulling together the information to apply for that grant.
okay, and that ties into the news from Littleton about recyclables.
Yes, that's part of the reason why I spoke with New Hampshire Recycles today. I was unable to find any other facilities where we could take it. Take our stuff, after speaking with NH
Not sure
Recycles.
if Eric knows what we're talking about.
Okay,
Oh,
So
Well-
Littleton. Go ahead.
so Littleton sent us an email stating that starting January 1st, they would no longer be able to take our recycling due to not having enough help, costs, so on and so forth. So I talked to Brian Patno at New Hampshire Recycles. He's reached out to Littleton to see if Littleton, Monroe, Dalton and New Hampshire Recycles could meet to see if we could come up with some type of arrangement to help them. Not so much maybe with manpower, but maybe more so, where we pay them a fee to take our recycling. But when I had spoken to him today, he hadn't heard back from Troy, who is the town manager in Littleton yet. Littleton is the only town in this area that has a permit to take other municipalities' recycling. The only other option would be to send them to Casella at $55 a ton. Or AVRD, which we'd have to pay. So there's not a ton of options out there, but the right people are working on it. So Brian said as soon as he hears from Troy, he will let me know. And I put in a call to Troy as well. So we'll see what happens there.
Do we know what the cost is for AVRD?
No,
Okay. So,
Can I say something?
yes,
On that, it's a mandate from this. I was told today it was a mandate from the state that's individual facilities.
not for recycling. I asked Brian about it and he said
Okay.
no. He said that it was not part of the the change in the state statute.
I was told it was, that was the big problem, that
I know there's an
can't
article
take
in the
other
paper
towns.
a couple of weeks ago about Littleton. Trying to control costs for the transfer station and control that only Littleton residents would use it. Like especially for demolition.
That is the
Period.
case because they don't know exactly what they're getting, and if they're getting something different than what the person is saying they're getting, then that puts them on the hook for it.
Yeah.
So that is something that's in state statute, but recycling is different.
Okay,
According to the conversation I had with him today, it didn't, you have to be permitted to take other towns' recycling, which Littleton is, because they're so sizable, Littleton is the only one around here that does it.
so we all have to sort this out by January 1, which doesn't give us much time.
Yeah.
Okay. And related to that, old computer monitors?
So when we upgraded our computers or had our computers updated, it included replacing the monitors.
Mhm.
So we have our 4 monitors sitting in the town clerk tax collector office.
Can they be used for the, we talked about an internet cafe?
That's what I was going to ask, because we've got just a hodgepodge of different monitors in there. I was gonna ask if we could, if the town would donate them to that that cause, the computer cafe, because then we've got 4 workstations, we'd have 4 computer monitors, they'd all match. Doesn't cost the town anything. It actually saves the town money because we're not throwing them in the garbage.
We have to throw the other old mismatched ones. Are there old ones there now?
There are some old ones there. Yeah.
Yeah, but at least these would be better ones.
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it.
That sounds like a good solution.
You-
Where are we on
Do you need to,
operationalizing?
do you-
I make a motion that we
Thank you.
use the old computer monitors for the internet cafe.
So,
All in favor?
I,
And maybe next time we can get an update on the status of the internet cafe, but
we need to move some stuff out of there. There's just, it's become a storage closet. There's a lot of storage closets in the building. It just became a non-priority for me when FEMA happened. So there's just a lot of stuff that needs to be moved out and gotten rid of. And there's furniture in there we got from the state or from the state courthouse that needs to be put together and put into the tax collector, town clerk area. And there's just a lot of logistical stuff. So hopefully this winter we could get some volunteers together. The town will agree to buy some paint and we could just slap up some fresh paint and
okay,
move things around.
okay. Truck replacement, I actually. Didn't make copies.
I don't need a copy. I've looked at it already.
Okay,
That's why I put it on here.
yep. Adam gave us a list of his equipment. So this is the equipment, this is a year. This is whether we own it or we have a lease purchase. This was a plan, maybe to purchase another one. This is the expected life. So that from that, we'd get an anticipated replacement date. And then the anticipated cost. So remember, Adam was talking about keeping the international dump truck for as long as it's cost effective.
Yeah.
He did deferred maintenance last year and this year. He replaced the motor and the transmission. The Ford 550, keep as long as it's cost effective. Do not replace it in kind. Replace with a second big dump truck was his recommendation. The Ford 550 truck, so the first one is a 2016, the 2017, and he's saying the expected life is 6 or 7 years, so we'd be looking at replacing it in 2027 for about 150K. So put it on a regular replacement schedule. The 2023 Ford F600 truck, again, that should last 6 or 7 years, so we'd be replacing it in 2030 for about 150,000. The 2008 front loader should last 20 or more years, so we're looking at keeping it until 2045. It has about 30,000 hours on it. The bucket
3,000.
3,000, thank you. I'm trying to go too fast here. Glad you're keeping me honest. 3,000 hours on it. The bucket was rebuilt this year. The 2011 grader should last between 6 and 16 more years. So we should replace it around 2031 or 2041. A lot of deferred maintenance was done on it last year and this year. And Adam was going to be replacing the pins on the plates this year for about $5,000. Then we have the excavator and backhoe that we're doing a lease purchase on from 2024. They should last about 7 years. And the plan would be to get a new lease purchase when we pay them off with a new vehicle, new excavator backhoe. The roller, it's a 1981. It's an indefinite, it should last for a long time. Adam has included about 5,000 in the proposed budget to redo the brakes with an air brake system next year, so that'll make it much safer to run. And then to be determined, an international dump truck to purchase a used one in the next few years, like between 2028 and 2030. I think about 8,000 for a used dump. 80,000, that's what I have written down here. 80,000. Yeah, if we could, just for 80, that'd be great, but 80,000. And that would supplement our old truck. So we would end up with, currently we have the 10-wheeler dump truck. We would propose to have 2 in the future, both having a plow and sander on them. Right now, we have 3 of the F550 or similar trucks. We would drop that down to 2. And so that would allow for more efficient plowing in the winter with 2 large plow sander trucks and more efficient transportation of gravel in the summer. So less staff downtime, less use of contractors. Does that all make sense from what you've got a better knowledge of these equipment than I have. So then after that, I put these into a spreadsheet looking at right now in the capital reserve fund, we have a little under $15,000, and we put 20 at the beginning of this year. We added 25,000 according to the warrant article, so we have about 40,000. This is a balance that's rounded. So we started with 14,871, so I'd round up that to 15. We added 25 this year, so we have a balance of 40,000. Okay, so I did 3 scenarios because it looks like we probably need to start adding more to our capital reserve. So if we go with that planned replacement, if we added 50,000 a year instead of we've been adding 25K, we don't have enough money. So the parentheses mean negative. So we'd be short like $40,000 when it comes time to purchase a new F550 or equivalent truck in 2034. Um,
2034?
the second one, yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I haven't ran it out that long. If we looked at, like in 2030, replacing it, we'd be short like $90,000.
That's if we only put 25 in.
If we put 50 in instead of 25.
How could that be? If we have 3 years, we put $50,000 in and we have 40 now, that's
Because we have-
190,000.
Purchasing a new,
Oh, you're
repair.
purchasing you're purchasing two things.
yeah, and then purchasing the used
Yeah,
pinwheeler, and then purchasing the second one. Yeah. And then down here,
so you're
purchasing-
purchasing, yeah, you'd be short because we're purchasing 3 vehicles.
right. If we follow the replacement schedule,
Gotcha,
that would be ideal.
got it.
Then I looked at is if we put 75K in, and it looks like, that would be enough. And maybe we do something in between. And I just also ran one with 100K, but that's way more than we need. So I would say we don't do this one. But, this is something to look at in the budget and as we develop warrant articles.
You sent that all to me, right?
I did some formatting on it,
Okay.
changes, so I will send it to you again.
Okay,
You send those in the email.
I can do that. Yep. Yep, I will. But I wanted to walk through it so you could see what I did. So what I did here is, this is the amount, like, this is a warrant article addition, or that's a balance, or an expenditure.
well, there's
And this
some
is what we
grants
would-
out there,
Hmm?
right? There's some grants out there for truck replacement, so
So
I'm gonna
that would help offset that.
dig into
this.
that.
Yeah. But we just need to think about this in terms of budget, but I wanted to get a walk through it. So I will send it to you. Yep. Okay. For the Conservation Commission, I know they had asked that they had put in a letter of support for Bethlehem, agreeing with a letter that Bethlehem sent to Kelly Ayotte and David Rockerford.
Mhm.
And they were asking if we would do a similar thing. So I just took the language that was in the letters from Bethlehem and from our Conservation Commission and did a draft to see if we want to support our neighbor Bethlehem. And I think one of the really important things is posing any proposal that would diminish or remove local control from municipal land boards, which is something that got taken out of the budget bill last year. So I make a motion that we support the
How's that help at all?
Hmm?
How's that really helped all?
I think it's being a good neighbor. I think the piece about local control is really important because we don't want the state to take away our local control.
Oh, we neighbors with them.
With Bethlehem?
They're part of they're in the local area. I mean, just like Littleton,
Well,
Whitefield.
Whitefield and Franconia might be their neighbors.
Well, Franconia is further away than Bethlehem does. I mean, we border Bethlehem over on Route 116. We border Bethlehem and Littleton, and we border Whitefield and Lancaster. So I make a motion that we endorse their letter that they sent to Kelly Ayotte and David Rockerford. Their letter was dated October 20th, 2025.
Sign it.
Not even the part about local, revising it for local control?
No.
For maintaining local control and taking other stuff out of it? Okay. So I made the motion, it was not seconded. Um. Do we have any updates on FEMA, or you're still pursuing
Nope.
the
Nothing.
information on mitigation and an extension?
Yeah, I'm gonna meet with Adam. He came in today, but I was too busy today, so we're gonna meet a week from Friday, the 21st,
Okay,
when I don't have anything else scheduled.
okay. The White Mountain Regional High School Spartans on a Mission event?
Yep, the Dalton neighbors met with some students from the high school who have started Spartans on a Mission. It's a group of high school students who are dedicated to making their communities better. And we were speaking with them about how we could reach out to their age group and their families better and when we do our events. And so they were also looking for projects and ways that they could help their communities. I think 3 of the students were from
I think
Dalton.
that's what I was just thinking.
3 were from Dalton, 2 were from the other side of Gilman,
Maidstone,
Maidstone, thank you.
yeah,
And I think 1 was from Lancaster,
yeah.
Is
Might have
that-
been one from Whitefield.
maybe 1 from Whitefield too. So basically they go and they clean and organize food pantries and help elderly do things or libraries or whatever. So we were talking about how we've been having trouble trying to gain some momentum and getting communities to some of our events. And we were talking about the fact that we just can't compete with towns like Littleton and Lancaster and Bethlehem because of the size. And so we were trying to think of some more off the cuff, not non-traditional things to do. And they came up with doing a Nightmare Before Christmas haunted house. And so we were like, wow, yeah, we would have never thought that. So they were over here helping Dalton neighbors dig a couple holes to plant some things. And so they were looking at the inside of the building and said, wow, this would be cool to do that. Would we be able to do that? And I said, well, I can ask the board. They'd work in conjunction with the Dalton Neighbors Group. It would be on a Sunday, Sunday afternoon, early evening. It would just be one day. And they would basically organize and put on the whole thing. And the Dalton Neighbors Group and Tara Giles from Community Hub would basically just oversee it and help them with things. And so I said, well, I'll ask. The worst they could do is say no.
So is the audience primarily teenagers?
Well, it'll be all age groups.
Cause I wouldn't think little kids, would it be appropriate? Well, I guess Halloween is appropriate. for
I
little
guess
kids.
it depends on how little you're talking about.
Yeah,
I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas, it's a movie, so it's kind of PG-13, PG,
Okay.
right?
I haven't
so-
seen it, so.
It's been a very long time since I've seen it. So I said, yeah, I think that would be a great idea. You know, it's just gives an opportunity to get people together and
Yeah. And they have like food and just,
yeah, we would probably do, you know, light snacks and beverages and they would make a donation, you know, maybe we would collect non-perishables for the Dalton Food Pantry, similar to what we're doing for Friday. You know, it's just more ways to get the word out there, to get people involved in doing more for the communities, you know. We have a very hard time trying to get kids and older kids, older teens and young adults to some of the stuff. So we were kind of saying, how could we get it out, get the information out? And the kids were basically saying, we never even heard of you guys doing stuff.
cause I think the kids probably don't use Facebook very much anymore. I don't know.
That is
Bad.
that is exactly it. I'm like, Facebook is the new MySpace. Adults use it. And so they're using a bunch of different things, mainly
Instagram.
Instagram is one of the big ones that they use, but the students the ones that live in Dalton, they're like, yeah, we could help you advertise stuff and,
Yeah.
you know, get families and stuff to it. They're like, a lot of times we have to we see what we want to do and then we tell our parents and that's how, you know, we get our families to things. Instead of the other way around, where the parents are looking for stuff for the kids to do, the kids are saying, hey, can we go do this?
And the fact that 3 kids from Dalton are. I
Right?
mean, that's huge, because I don't think we have that many kids in Dalton. do we?
Right? I looked at all
How many-
three of them and
how
I'm
many
like, I
teenagers we
recognize
had?
one name, but that was it. One last name and that was it.
I know. Joe Bulldog's daughters,
Yeah,
She's
That
one
was
of
one of
them, I
them.
think.
is she?
Yeah.
And one
Lori
of them-
St. Cyr's daughter was one of them and I don't know where the other one lived.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I didn't recognize the name at all.
Yeah,
But we thought it was great and, you know, we said, hey, you guys are looking for ways to help and we're looking for help.
I think it sounds really positive.
So it's just
So that would be the
another,
December 12th date.
no, that's a dinner.
Oh, that's a dinner, okay.
Yes, and that's our dinners are always on a Friday.
Okay,
But it would be something else that we would do in December. They said December would be best, a Sunday would be best. It would just be one night, you know, that way you get whoever's coming, they come and
hopefully not the first Sunday of December, because the church is doing the memory tree that they do every year.
oh,
on
I'm
the
sure that,
first Sunday,
I'm sure we could make sure that doesn't happen,
yeah.
but
I think it sounds great.
just, and, you know,
What do you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
something else to use. And the Spartans on a Mission, it's being it has oversight and guidance from Tara Giles from the Community Hub and Officer Lasco or Laska with the Whitefield Police Department,
School resource officer.
school resource, thank
Yeah.
you. So we just thought it would be a cool thing to do and we're just like, yeah, we'll try anything once.
yeah. Well, they already helped you, so that's.
Yeah,
Put some holes and things, so I think it sounds good.
okay,
Yeah.
And it helps the students from the district, which includes some Dalton students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get out in the community and
And he brings them in.
to do things, to volunteer and to do things in the community.
Yeah.
And we'll open up other opportunities for them to do stuff, like they're gonna be here on Friday, those who are available, they'll be here on Friday to help, you know, set up, clean up, whatever, and
And I think like when they apply to college and things like that, they're almost expected to have community service on their resumes.
I'm sure they probably
So
are.
it helps
For
them-
those who are going to college, yeah.
Right, or, jobs and things, it's always good to put on your resume too. So.
Yeah.
I believe it's part of the school,
Graduation requirements.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
good.
Yeah.
I think that's great. The other thing, this is a long meeting. I've been trying to keep these meetings short.
well,
I hope I won't
quite
be
a-
too rude with him. I
we've
just
had
wanted
quite a
to-
few short ones, so we were due for
So,
this.
but we've been moving pretty fast. The flooring in the building and the moisture issue.
Yep. I met with the flooring contractor. He came in, he said it's definitely a moisture issue. You know, it's starting to pop up here and there in different places. I think there's one place in the gym now. He said it's definitely moisture.
Cause it's right on concrete,
I
right?
kind of put my dummy hat on and said, well, why didn't we see the issue before? And he brought up a really good point. Of course, like I said, I put on my dummy hat and he's like, well, the adhesives used to use petroleum. And now with the VOC guidelines, you can't use petroleum because it puts out too many fumes in the air. So it's all water-based and water doesn't block water like petroleum blocks water.
So wouldn't he have thought about that when it was putting it down on concrete and looked at
No.
the subsurface?
No, because how do they know that there's going to be a moisture issue? You
Didn't
can't
you
just say it's
That the
concrete.
Concrete, that there'd be a moisture issue, like in
No.
a basement, you would,
No,
no?
no.
Okay,
What about a house that's built on a slab? You don't think of that?
that's true. And actually, like my basement,
what
the
we have.
concrete is dry. I know years ago when I put in laminate in a basement, I put a moisture barrier under it when I didn't do that upstairs with the laminate, so.
So, nowadays they put the vapor and moisture barrier under the concrete.
Ah,
So, it could always be one of those what ifs, but you don't know.
so they're not going to replace it at
I
their
don't-
dollar?
I do not know.
Okay.
He said he would get in touch with me. He said they're very busy right now. He would get in touch with me in the next month or two. I told him it absolutely has to be taken care of before town meeting because it's a tripping issue in front of the gym. And he said he would make sure of it. So trust me, I am all over them.
Yeah.
All over them. So
And I just think they should have been asking those questions. But
yeah,
maybe I'm wrong, maybe my expectations are unreasonable.
mine too. So
Okay.
I'm told sometimes.
Okay, we've jumped around quite a bit, but I think we've covered everything that we need to cover for tonight.
We do have one non-public for legal,
Okay,
but I think otherwise. Oh, actually, I got the renewals for Primex for 2026.
okay.
And I know this is gonna surprise you, but the rates are increasing.
How much?
Actually, we saw a small decrease in one rate and the other rate, increase. So for,
So they decreased one just to make up difference on the other ones.
yes,
Of course.
and it's almost, it's a $54 difference. So at least it's not thousands of dollars.
So it went up $54?
Workers'
So-
comp, well, yes, combined. Workers' comp went up $906. And our property and liability went down $852 for a net delta of $54.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve and sign the Primex contract. Are we ready to sign it?
I don't know if we need to sign it,
Or you just go on? I don't.
probably. These aren't this isn't our renewal package. This is just the
Oh, so we don't have any action to do at this
enclosed
point.
is your blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I don't think we have to sign.
So this is just information at this point.
Correct.
Okay,
I believe that is the case.
okay. I make a motion that we go into non-public for legal. All in favor? Aye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you for coming. Is it easier for us to go in the other room?
No,
Okay.
it won't even be long. Pausing the recording for a non-public session.
Okay, we are now back in public session. I make a motion that we seal the minutes from the non-public session.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night.